Okay, this video is going to show how to write code that will obtain input from the user, the one that's using your program. And so we're going to kind of go through this quickly. But here we go. What you need to do is on this paper that you should have in front of you, it should look like what I have on here, is you will need to write down notes on this paper, whether on the code, by the code or below the code, however you want to do this. So the first thing is that in order for you to be able to write code that obtains input from the user, is you have to have an import statement. So this specific import statement will import the scanner class. The scanner class allows us to write code that will read user input. And what we want to do is, like we did before, we want to put a blank line after the import statement. And then the other line that you have to have before you can start writing code to get users input is you have to declare the scanner object. And so that is this particular line here. Now what this does is declares a specific object, digitally of course, whose name is scan. So this is the name of the object. So this is like if you went to a store and they gave you handheld scanners to scan barcodes. Those would be the objects that you would actually scan your barcodes on your groceries. And so this is a specific object, of course digitally, that will do that. So you've got to write these two lines all the time. Now this, by the way, the name of the class, or not the class, of the object, can be whatever you want it to be. Everything else on this line needs to stay the same. But the name, this name can change. You can call it input. Scanner input is assigned new scanner system.in. You can call it Ralph. Scanner Ralph is assigned new scanner system.in. So you can give this any name you want. It's just like the name of a variable, in this case grade level. Same idea. Okay, then we're going to have our normal code, of course. This is our declarations. And then we're going to do our assignments. Now these are your assignments right here. So we're going to assign those four variables the input from the user. And so how do we know we're going to assign? Because we have an assignment operator in each of these cases. So that means we're going to store something in each of those memory locations. Alright, so the first memory location that we have here is going to be, let's say, grade level. And so imagine a cup or a memory cell whose name is grade level. And so I'm going to have to do this really quickly here. Okay, and let's say that we have this is a memory location. So what we're going to do, when you try to obtain, let's say you want to know what the user's grade level is, then you've got to ask them for the grade level. So this is we call this a prompt. It's a print statement that's used specifically as a prompt. And you just write whatever you want inside inside here, your question, however you want to say it. You can say enter your grade, senior, pick junior, whatever, etc. Or you can say what is your grade. Whatever you want. Just pretend you're talking to somebody and say, hey, what grade are you in? Are you a senior, a junior, sophomore, whatever? That kind of thing. And then the user will see that that you are asking them a question. The program is going to pause and allow them to type in their answer. So let's say that they type in senior. Well, it's going to store that senior in this memory location because this part of the line right here is going to read what they type in there, and then it'll store it in this memory location. Now this right here, and what we'll do, notice that it says scan.next int. This is for one word input. All right. Now the next three situations are going to be the same. You ask, and then this line reads it. This, because it's using scan. Now, by the way, scan. I forgot to say this. This scan, word scan, comes from here. So if you name the scanner object Ralph, then it's going to be grade level is assigned Ralph.next. Okay, so that's the idea. And then scan.next, this is a method. The scan.next method is going to read one word input. Now, if you use scan.nextLine, this is for input of one or more words. All right, and then if you ask them their age, and which you're asking for an integer, a whole number, then you use scan.nextInt. So scan.nextInt is for input of whole numbers or integers. And then when you ask the user for something that is going to require a decimal, this is when you want it so you go scan.nextDouble, because you want it to read be able to read decimals. All right. By the way, the scan.nextLine is for the input of one or more words. So if there's any chance that the user is going to enter more than one word, you need to use scan.nextLine, and it'll read one word or read more than one word. And then here's the normal output. Okay, now that's going to be the important things, and I'm going to demonstrate this here with JGrasp. And so here is the code that you have on your paper. And so here's what happens when I run this code. If I go, and I'll bring this up here, if I compile it, everything looks good, and then I run it, it says enter your favorite pizza. Notice how it just stops and sits there, and it waits for the user. I'm now the user, and it's waiting for my response. So I'll say meat lovers. All right, and then I hit enter, and then it says enter your grade. All right, well, and notice it waits, and it won't do anything until I press enter as the user. And so let's say I write senior, and then enter your age. Okay, so I type in, let's say 34, and hit enter. Enter your GPA, 4.1, 2, and then I hit enter. And so what it's done is it has read all of these pieces of input and stored them in these in the appropriate variables. And then here it is. Notice that if we scroll up here, it says a grade level. Grade level is storing senior. I wrote senior, right? So it says a senior. And it says who's 34. Well, when I asked the age, I typed 34, and so that's what it prints. When I asked for GPA, I typed 4.12, and it entered that. It stored it in GPA, and now in the variable call, right here, it is, here's the variable call. I typed 4.12, it stored it in GPA, and then here it is right there being shown. And then I typed in meat lovers, so that's what it put in, was meat lovers, because that's what the user typed in. Alright, so this is the main thing. Make sure you get these notes, and we're going to use these notes in class to write a program that uses this type of code.